and welcome back again to the Believeland Prep Podcast. Today we're joined by a very special guest from Cleveland.com, high school reporter, but also dabbles in some NFL and NBA draft coverage, Jonathan Simmons. Jonathan, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us today. And can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Jonathan Xavier Simmons. I high school sports reporter for Cleveland.com. You pretty much hit it down on the head. I do help out with some NBA and NFL coverage stuff, and that kind of thing. I'm from Akron, Ohio, Copley, if you know the area. I went to high school at Hawken, up in Gates Mills at the Mayfield area. Um, yeah.
Yeah, we're actually covering Hawken. I forget who they play this week, but they're on our list of games that Believeland's covering this week. So we're
Nice.
definitely common with Hawken and that
Yeah.
area. But the reason that we have Jonathan joining us today for the most part is there's a big event going on in Canton this weekend. You can see it in the background if you're watching on YouTube as Morehouse College takes on Virginia Union in what's become the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic. It began back in 2019. Did take a year off for the COVID year, but they're back and it's going better than maybe expected when it first started. So we have Jonathan on as an alumnus of Morehouse, just to talk about that experience and what what's offered maybe at a HBCU versus some of the other college options that Jonathan and other young people have as they begin planning out their further education after high school. So, Jonathan, as you were finishing up high school, what was it about Morehouse that's put it above some of those other options like a Kent, Akron, Ohio State that may be more common for some of the people in our area?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is just that Hawken is, it's a really good school. It's a not a liberal arts high school, I guess, but it's a very prominent private school in the Cleveland area. So a lot of the schools that I was applying to at the time were liberal arts schools. There's a list called the Colleges That Change Lives. So a lot of those schools on that list were like Hiram and Baldwin Wallace and Worcester. Um, so those were a lot of the kinds of schools that I was looking at, and I also was playing. I was an athlete in high school. I played football. I played basketball. I ran track for a year. I played lacrosse for 2 years. So I was more so looking when I thought that I was going to end up playing sports in college. Those were the kind of schools that I was looking at. Um, and Morehouse is also a liberal arts school, so it's it kind of was already in that same lanes, that same pathway. I actually, my dream school, I grew up a huge Michigan State fan. I have a lot of family. My dad is from Michigan. I have a lot of family in Michigan. I got cousins that went to both Michigan and Michigan State. Um, so I was looking at Michigan State, but I ended up not getting into Michigan State. Um, and my mom went to Syracuse. My dad went to Southern University, which is a HBCU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Um, and there was a point where it was like, I didn't get into the school that I wanted to go to. I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to end up playing sports in college, or if I wanted to continue playing sports, or if I wanted to play football or anything like that. Um, so then at that point, it was like, all right, what about some HBCUs? What schools could we look at? My dad wanted me to look at Southern. We actually took a trip down there to visit, and that I think kind of opened a door for me. Um, I was born in the Norfolk, Virginia area, and Hampton is down there, so that was a big school. We have ties to DC, so I was looking at Howard. But the thing that put Morehouse over the top was when we took the visit. Um, it from going from Akron to Atlanta was like a culture shock.
Yeah.
And a couple of days in that environment, my dad was sold because it reminded him of his experience. And for me, it just made sense. So,
Yeah, definitely a lot of, especially with, wanting to get into media, a lot of media outlets in that greater Atlanta area with Turner and all of his businesses, TNT, TBS, CNN rather, sorry. But yeah, definitely a lot of options there for you. And then can you just talk about like the experience you kind of mentioned a little bit there, but maybe more so um, on the athletic scale, like going to a game at Morehouse, what that experience is like versus what you see at Kent or Akron. Now that knowing that you're from the area and now working in the area.
Um, the experience going to it. Well, all right. So Morehouse isn't the biggest HBCU. It's not like Southern, where my
Yeah.
dad went. They have a huge band, huge, you know what I mean, turnout for all of the games and stuff like that. They're a D1 school. Morehouse is D2. So I was actually thinking about walking on or something like that when I was down there,
Right.
but I don't. It's like I feel like it's such a close knit environment that it's like we still have a band, of course, and they still play at halftime and throughout the game, and it's like a family. It's a family fun friendly environment, and it's when you're there, it's like everybody. I know guys on the team. I know guys in the band. I know. I'm sitting here with people who I not necessarily grew up with, but people who I feel like ties in college and bonds and friendships and stuff that you make are sacred.
Right.
So it's like I'm sitting here with my brothers watching some of my brothers play, and it's games like that and stuff like that is it's I think with Akron and Kent and they have these big stadiums and InfoCision is
Right.
biggest thing in the city of Akron.
Right.
Like it's I feel like because it's smaller, right? There's only when I was down there, I don't know about now, but there was only one side of the stand, so home and away are both sitting on the same side, and it's like we're over here yelling at them about how we're better, and they're giving it
Right.
right back to us, and it's all it's we're there for the competition, but it's all it feels like it's a family at the end of the day, even with away teams and whoever we're playing. So yeah.
Yeah, it does seem just from afar that that is something that these schools offer that maybe some of the others don't. And you mentioned the band, and I think there's people maybe more excited to see the bands on Sunday than what's going to happen in the four quarters of play. But yeah, this is a great event. I met Jonathan a few weeks ago covering the Northeast Ohio versus America showcase, and we got to talking, and I wanted to bring him on just to learn more, so going into this weekend I felt more educated versus, just going there for a football game, having a better grasp of the magnitude that these universities offer their students. So anything else, Jonathan, that you feel like we haven't touched on that you want to make sure that our listeners and viewers know?
Let's see. Well, first, I want to mention that the last time Morehouse played in this game, I was still in school, the 2019 game. And they won it on like a last second Hail Mary to the back of the end zone.
Nice.
Um, so I'm hoping that they can pull out another win. Um, but yeah, I think one of the other things is just that because obviously a lot of HBCUs are in the South, and I think that's a huge I think that's a something that like I talked about that cultural shock from going from Akron to Atlanta. And I think just the heartbeat of the South, I think, is captured within a lot of these schools. And it's like, whereas like if you're from here, you can be walking down the street and say hey to somebody, and they might not even acknowledge you or
Right.
look at you like that. But in the South, it's like not everybody, of course, but it's like it's a much more friendly, like
Right.
more open, like you can go up to anybody on the sideline and just start talking to them and have feel like you've been knowing them for however long. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the big and I think that's also something that you see more so once you get down there and experience the campus and visit. Um, and yeah, I think that's a big part of why I enjoyed my experience at Morehouse the way that I did. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you embody that even now because you didn't know me from a sack of potatoes and I come up and introduce myself and we chatted there for about a good quarter or so and here we are talking now. But yes, and it's a great event that the Hall of Fame puts on, gives these student athletes an opportunity to play in the shadows of the Football Hall of Fame and help shine a light on some of these universities that may not get the coverage on ESPN or ABC or Fox that, the Big Ten or the SEC or what's left of the Pac-12 get. But yeah, it's a great event. I'm looking forward to it. It will be broadcast live on NFL Network. So if you are out of the Canton area and aren't able to make it, you can definitely tune in. I believe kickoff is 3 o'clock. I believe
Yeah.
3:34. It's somewhere in that afternoon time slot, and it is on Sunday, but with no NFL games this weekend and the holiday weekend, make an event of it. Tickets start at $25. You can go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame website, and there's a link there to bring up more information about the event. And it's not just the game; they have events all weekend to help shine a light on the bands, on these universities, and like Jonathan talked about, the full on experience that these schools offer that maybe some of the schools here in the area don't offer. And if you are going, let's, show our visitors from these universities or just these general areas, some of that southern hospitality here in Ohio, so they know that people in Ohio are good people because there are a lot of great people here. So let's shine a bright light on our area as we tend to do. I know the Northeast Ohio and First America Showcase, there were a lot of good reports out of that and everything. So, Jonathan, once again, thank you for your time and educating myself and our viewers more on Morehouse and some of the HBCUs and how they are different from some of the area schools that we do have here. And where can people follow you so they can stay up to date on your high school coverage with Cleveland.com?
I'm at Jag Simmons on Instagram, Twitter. I guess not Facebook, but yeah, there. Obviously, Cleveland.com high school sports page is huge, and then yeah, just Jag Simmons on wherever you can, everything. So
All right. Thank you again, Jonathan, for all of your time and coming on and discussing this event with me. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.